Good evening everybody and welcome to another round of the F1 2019 Wheel-to-Wheel Tier 2 Championship as the calendar takes us to Singapore and to a circuit which I could say that if Spa-Francorchamps and Monaco ever had a baby, this would probably be the final result. Welcome to the Marina Bay circuit in the heart of the city of Singapore, the state city of Singapore, one of the three cities that are independent in the world. The other one is of course Monaco and Vatican City. So of course probably we won't have a Grand Prix in all three of them, but at least we have the majority of them in the calendar. Speaking about the track itself, very long, one of the longest in the entire calendar, 5 kilometers almost on the dots. 31 laps are our drivers going to do this afternoon with 23 corners each lap. Moving to the standings, we have Colored Lonely leading with 242 points, followed by Amateur Gamer 76 points behind, with Lasher in P3 with 140 points. After that we have Gary Gunn with 87, only 7 ahead of Cuba in the best of the Mercedes, as Progs and Brazen are tied with 74 points, both of them ahead by 10 points of Black Widow, with Jax FO in P9 with 57, 1 point ahead of Delta in the Ferrari with 56 points. Moving onwards to the constructor standings, as you guys can see, it's still Racing Point, the team on the top of the standings with 293 points, a 55 point gap between them and the Haas F1 team, followed by the Groove-based Williams with 182 points to their name. After that, we go to Maranello with the Ferrari with 142 points, followed by Milton Keynes-based Red Bull, closing the top 5. After that, we have the Renault team with 109, 15 points ahead of Mercedes, as Woking-based McLaren occupies 8th place, Toro Rosso in P9, and 10 points behind we have Alfa Romeo as the last place team with 52 points to their name. So with that, we can get ourselves started with our qualifying session for the Singapore Grand Prix. So hello everyone in chat, how are you guys doing? Going to get ourselves all of our data for you guys to enjoy. And today we have 13 drivers. Let's see what they can do here today. Lots of drivers with different tire compounds at this point. Of course, this is a track where the tires do suffer quite a lot. They do wear out quite quickly, despite the low speeds in average. It's going to be interesting to see how well these drivers manage their cars. So we have Progza ahead. Is he the first one out of the queue of cars? We're about to start the Grand Prix, not sure. But let's see how it goes, as we have there the number 31 with the Halloween helmet on. Helmet that's also shared with one of the Red Bulls. Brazen also has that pumpkin themed helmet. Let's see how it goes. Let's follow for now. Oh, we have Jax FO starting with his lap, so he's the first one to start the lap. Jax FO, who I actually am not sure how he's been doing the last couple of races. I don't have the data from him since his debut, unfortunately. But let's see how it goes for him with the number 21, what he can do. It's going to be at the end of the first sector at 26.9, is getting himself now out of turn number 8, I believe this is. Getting now to the right-hander of turn number 9. He goes a bit too wide, needs to compromise the exit to avoid hitting the wall. Now on the straight into turn number 10. About 60 meters away from the corner, you throw the car in, hope to make it stick on the other side. The suspension and the tires do need to work quite hard through turns 11 and 12 into the hairpin of turn 13. And he gets himself through the bridge, goes full throttle. Mode number 5 of ERS up through the gears, just about 100 meters away from turn number 14. He goes onto the brakes, down to third gear, and he's smooth sailing out of the corners. He now gets into another very technical section of turns 15, 16 and 17, getting now to corner number 18 and 19 right under the grandstand, which is the only circuit that has the track go below one of the grandstands of the own circuit. So Also, one unique aspect of this track is it needs full commitment now is the rating. Let's see how it goes, going to cross over the line. It's a 136.8. We do have Progza now about to complete his lap. Let's see what the Ferrari does. He's going to get himself through the line. Can he beat the time of the McLaren driver? 137.4. Steph Farrell nullifies the lap, and we have Brazian who's about to start the lap. We have Colin Lonely on the arch with a 139. We have Gary Gunn with a 137.0, getting his Renault up to P2. So good job from him. Let's see what Amateur Gamer does, who is also about to get through the line. He's going to open the RS, crossing over the line on the hards, just almost 2 tenths quicker than Colored Lonely, as Radek on the mediums gets a 139.0. So basically the same time as Amateur Gamer on softer compound. So that's not the greatest performance there from the Mercedes driver, as Steph Farrell gets himself through the line in P8. Robin Newell, the only representative of the Toro Rossos here, a 139.3 on the mediums, needs to work a bit harder than that. So going to see we have Delta in the last sector, and we have Brazian still in sector 2. So let's jump to the German driver of the Ferrari. He has told us that he is feeling himself a bit ill at the moment, a bit sick, so hopefully a good recovery from him. But for now he has to try to get that out of his mind and try to focus solely on his driving. Let's see what he can do. He is derating as well, which might not help him out of turn number 33. Nonetheless, gets himself a 138.9, very far away from Progza, so he really needs to work hard on that one. See how it goes. In the meantime, we had Kuba starting his lap, but we have Brazian on the hards about to complete one of his own. Let's see how it goes for the British driver of the Red Bull. He's going to get himself over the line. It's going to be 10th place only, 141.0. Very bad lap there from the Red Bull driver. Let's see how it goes now for Cuba. Cuba, who has had, since Canada, he has been able to string some good results. Since Canada, he has only missed the points in 2 occasions. 13th place at France, 16th place at Silverstone. But since Canada, he got 10th at Canada, 16th in Austria, 5th in Germany, his best results on that stretch. 7th place in Hungary, 10th place at Belgium, and back to 7th at Italy. Of course, before Canada, he had done a 2nd place in Australia, 4th at Bahrain, then 0 points at China or Azerbaijan, then 2nd at Monaco, and no points second at Spain and no points at Monaco. So he has been a bit more consistent this time around. Even though he's not reaching those podium finishes, he is much more consistent this time around. Let's see what kind of form can he carry on to the end of the season. In the meantime, we have Cuba about to finish his lap. He's also one of these drivers who's derating. Oh, maybe a mistake. He's coming back into the pits. He's nullifying his own lap. We have Sepik Squirrel about to go once again. Let's see what the Haas driver does. The Haas driver haven't posted a lap time on the table just yet. Let's see how it goes. Just before 100 meters away from turn 1, a bit wide there for the American driver. Gets nicely through turns 2 and turn 3. Smooth on the power you must be as you go up through the gears. Some of these drivers do extend on that curb to the left hand side as the braking zone into turn number 5, and now it's full blast from the power unit on the back of the Haas, as he's getting himself about 70 meters away from turn number 6. Very nicely done, or turn number 7 actually. He gets now through the slow corner number 8, under acceleration now into turn 9. Can he get it done? He does clip the curb there, but he does get the rotation through the corner to get smoothly. Now 50 meters away from turn 10, the Singapore Sling, even though I did enjoy more the previous version of it. It is only a simple right-hander at this point. It gets now to turns 11, 12, and the hairpin of 13. Getting smoothly on the power once again is needed to get a good exiting speed. It gets now to this short straight into turn number 14. And now it's going to come on a very tricky, very technical section into turns 15. The right-hander of 16 and left-hander of 17 need to be smooth on the power as well. It did get very nicely indeed over those curbs, also cutting the corner a little bit there as you need to do into turns number 18 and 19, and then the 19 and 20. Very crucial point. Ooh, maybe an invalidation there from Sepik Squirrel, as this already not invalidated, but derating, and yes, yeah, this lap invalidated, unfortunately, as we have Colored Lonely, who has started his lap, is going to the soft, so we went from the hard tires to now have a challenge on those softs. Let's see how it goes for him. Colored Lonely, who is still our championship leader with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins on the season, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 podiums on the season. Since China, every single race he's finished, he got himself on the podium. The only race he hasn't finished was Hungary. He finished every race until Hungary, 4th place in Australia, 6th place at Bahrain, and since then he has always finished in the podium, apart from Hungary, where he lost the rear into turn 4 or 5, I believe it was 4, and got himself in a wall, getting terminal damage, unfortunately, for our championship leader. Let's see how it goes now. He's going to get himself the game. Is telling me it's an outlap. I'm pretty sure it's not, especially as Colored Lonely is pushing now in mode number 5. There's a slow-moving Ferrari. Hopefully no problems with him. Maybe it was just Delta getting out of the way of his rival. Let's see what the number 19 does. Getting himself to turns 20 and 21. He's not derating. He could have used a bit more of ERS though, but looks like he made a mistake. He's aborting his lap, coming back into the pits. Progza himself in sector 2 at this point is improving by a tenth. According to the live timing, Gary Gunn is already in sector 3, but yet an awful lap. He's going to repeat that one for sure. Lasher, also a driver who hasn't posted a lap time just yet, approaching the Singapore single right now, so we'll check on him a little bit later, and Cuba is right behind him, I believe, so let's see how it goes for Progza. Sorry, Gary Gunn, yeah, he's going slowly. We have Progza, who I believe is the closest one to closing the... Oh, Steph Farrell on the mediums, up to P4, splitting the Ferraris there. Very good lap from the Alfa Romeo driver, 137.7, moves him up to 4th place. Not too shabby from the Alfa Romeo driver, who has gotten some good results. 8th place at Silverstone, didn't show up for Germany, 6th place at Hungary, 4th at Spa, and 12th place at Italy, so not the greatest performance at the Temple of Speed, as Progza gets his number 31 to a 136.9, not enough to dethrone Jax FO, but good enough to get himself in P3. But look at that Lasher! 25 thousandths of a second only separating him from the top step of the table there. You can see P2 for Lasher, very close stuff between those two guys. Let's see how that one develops, as in the meantime we have Delta also getting through the 3rd sector. Let's see what the Ferrari driver does. He's pushing his hearts out to number 37. Let's see how it goes now. Full commitment through the last corner. He's going to get himself through the line. It's going to be a 137.0. Keeps himself in P5. So very close stuff to Gary Gunn as well. Look at that. 25 thousandths of a second as well. But this time Delta isn't able to beat his rival. Maintains that P5 for the time being. Cuba closes a lap on the hards with a 140.4. There's... Ooh, not sure what happened there. Cuba has damage, and he ruined the lap of Jax FO. Gozieg is already out of the session. We have Sepik Squirrel, who is going for a lap, and Jax FO fortunately moves out of the way. We have Cuba, who I don't know what he's doing, to be honest, but let's see how that one goes. We have Sepik Squirrel still getting through turn 13, so let's see what lap time he can do. Brazen gets a 5th place penalty for illegal blocking. Where is Brazen? What did he do? Who did he block? He gets a 5th place penalty for illegal blocking, apparently. I think he ran out of fuel. And that's very unfortunate, but yeah, that's what happens. It's qualifying. People want to get on fast because they need the time to put as much laps in as they can, and Brazen let himself run out of fuel and gets slapped with a 5th place grid penalty. It's rather unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's see what the number 25 of the Haas does, as Delta is also on his in-lap at this point. We have Colored Lonely and JaxFO on out laps of their own. JaxFO has started this lap as well. Let's see if he improves from that 136.8. Sepic Squirrel is getting himself now through turn number 5. Ooh, a bit wide there. Couldn't go on the throttle as early as he probably wanted, the Haas driver. Only him and Goziag haven't posted lap times. 27.3 first sector. Really committed through that corner, even extending a little bit of the track. I don't think the game gave him a little bit of a slap of the wrist, even though, ooh, the car understeering there through turn number 9. And he also didn't really use the full width of the track into turn number 8, into turn 10. He does nicely. That corner there, yep, turns too early, and that's an invalidation, even though JaxFO is closing in. Oh no, JaxFO is back into the pits. I thought he was about to start his flying lap. Looks like he's in the pits, so Garrigan is about to start his flying lap. Colored Lonely just started it. It gets through turns 1, 2, and 3. Let's see what our championship leader does. Getting up to the gear, mode 4 of ERS under acceleration. Not usually advisable. I know people prefer to accelerate with mode 5 of ERS, and mode 4 is only for top end speed. He gets himself through the DRS zone, very long DRS zone into turn 6 and turn 7, 80 meters away from it. Hard on the brakes, misses the apex there a little bit. He could have gotten mounting there on the curve. He gets himself through turn number 8, using the full weight of the track through 10 as well. Very committed through the corner there, very nice exiting speed as well. Let's see how good he is through turn number 10, very nicely indeed, letting the car understeer through turn number 11, and then 12, and the hairpin off 13. Let's see how much the car rotates. He could have used maybe a bit more of the steering wheel, but he's letting himself go now up through the straight into turn number 14 this is, before getting through the left kink of turn 15 and into the tight complex of turns 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21. He's getting himself now through this left-hander right below the grandstand. Now just one more chicane. Let's see how composed the car is out of it. That inside curb can sometimes get the car unstable. Nonetheless, he maintained himself composed. He's going to get himself through the line. It's going to be P6 on the mediums for Colored Lonely. Not the best time on the mediums yet, but it is a very good lap, no doubt. We have Colored Lonely in P6. We have Gary Gunn, who has already started a lap of his own. Gary Gunn is also going on the mediums at this point. Sepic Squirrel is out of the session. Sepic Squirrel has retired from the session, so going to start from the back of the pack, unfortunately. In the meantime, we also have Progza, who started the lap. Let's see what Gary Gunn does. Gary Gunn, who has gotten a very good couple performances since Silverstone. 2 6th places at Silverstone and Hockenheim. Then 3rd place at Hungary, 5th in Belgium, and 2nd place at Italy. That 2nd place is his best finish of the season so far. He got 2 podiums in these last 3 races, 3 top 5s in the last 3 races, and is currently in P4 himself, so he's doing a great job. Good surge of form late in the season for the Renault driver. Let's see what he does. As Gary Gunn is going to get himself through the line. It's going to be a 136.9, not much improvement. Doesn't allow him to get past the Ferrari that you guys have on the screen. Of course, he was on mediums, but that is indeed a very good lap on the mediums. Progza is on a flying lap of his own at the moment. The time runs out for some of the drivers. Steph Farrell is the first to get the checkered flag shown to him. 137.7 is going to be the best he's going to muster out of his car today. Best case scenario maintains that P7 of his. Let's see how it goes as Progza is getting himself through the last few corners of this last sector. Quite crucial lap, of course, if you want to improve your position. Let's see, can he get himself up to the front? An improvement of Alpha 10, not enough. Look at that, 0.02 of a second away from the P2 of Lasher. Best case scenario, he maintains that P3. Lasher already in the third sector, and it is improving by a tenth at this point. JacksFO won't be able to improve. Lasher might be on the cards for the pole position today. Delta is a bit further behind. Amateur Gamer is about to complete a lap. Let's see what he does. Radek gets P8 on that second lap on the mediums. JacksFO does improve to P1, so the game was trolling me. Amateur Gamer P2 on the mediums. 136.6. What a lap from the Northern Irish driver. As let's see how it goes. Stefarel 8, Cuba P10, Lasher P3. Lasher, look at that, 2/10 away, and JacksFO Delta gets himself on pole. A 136.3. What an absolute mad lap from the German driver. He was sick and pulls through with a 136.3 to the top of the table. Beautiful lap there from the German. Very good stuff to see indeed. Right at the drop of the hat, demoting Amateur Gamer to the second row of the grid. Let's see how it goes. We're going to say thank you very much for the position. And Brazen, unfortunately, is going to start from P12, I believe, due to his 5-place grid penalty. And yeah, look at that. Delta on the top, followed by JacksFO, Amateur Gamer, and Lasher. 2/1000 of a second, or sorry, yeah, 2/1000 of a second separating each other. So Lasher is going to have to start behind the Williams driver, who starts on the mediums. Then we have Progza in P5, Gary Gunn, Brazian, Call It Lonely, Stefarel, and Robin Newell complete the top 10. Of course, the 4 drivers that we have outside of the top 10 are going to have a free choice in terms of the tires available to them. Most of the drivers in the top 10 have opted to qualify on the mediums, though. I believe it was only 4 drivers out of the top 10 that qualified on the softs, and those softs do get worn out very fast. According to the drivers, they get worn out at about lap 6. You can extend them 1 lap or 2, but it's going to be a struggle. And according to my data, those who start on the softs, they can go soft, medium maybe, or maybe soft hard. Soft, as of course the guys who start on the mediums can pit at between laps 10 and 12 to go for hards to take them to the end of the race. It is a 31 lap race, so the hards are about capable of 20 laps. The mediums, if they are brand new, might be able to start fading at about lap 13. If they are used in qualifying, they are probably only going to last about 11 or 12 laps. So those who start the race on the softs, they need to go soft hard and maybe soft again. Not sure how it's going to be, but going to take a look at the data. And our drivers, yeah, as you can see, even Radek is starting on the hards, and the bottom row of the grid is also opting for the hard tire start. Brazian starts from P12 on the set of softs. So only 5 drivers opting for the red marked tire to use at the start of this Grand Prix. So these guys really need to pull away some sort of advantage to make up for the fact that they are pitting once more with their own pace, with the amount of time they can put between themselves and their rivals on the other compounds. Let's see how it goes, though. It's going to be interesting to see, for example, what Gary Gunn does. If Gary Gunn, he starts from P6, he dropped a little bit on his times towards the end of the qualifying session, but he's still in a position. If someone does make a mistake, he can get himself another top 5 finish. Let's see how it goes. Lasher also getting 2 podiums in the last 3 races. Got a podium, a 2nd place at Hungary and the 3rd place at Belgium. So Lasher starts from P4. He has the compromised strategy of the 2-stop to do, but let's see how it goes for the Haas driver. And we also have the Red Bull of Brazian. Of course, he hasn't had the greatest performances, especially 2 DNFs in the last 4 races, but he is capable of the occasional podium. So let's see how it goes for him. We have our drivers getting themselves on their designated slots on the grid. So we have one McLaren leading the second row, or sorry, that second side of the grid. As we have lights out, and away we go for the Singapore Grand Prix. A bad start there from one of the Ferraris. I believe that is Lasher, Amateur Gamer. Sorry, not Amateur Gamer, but Colored Lonely is already going to challenge him. Jax FO takes the lead, followed by Delta, Amateur Gamer in P3, Lasher P4, Prox at P5, Steph Farrell and Robin Yules are going to get jumped by Colored Lonely, I believe that is Cuba, moving up to P8. Great start from him. Brazen already from P12 up to P10 is going to challenge one of the Toro Rossos, I believe that is. And yes, he is really challenging the Toro Rosso. Let's see how it goes. He's going to pull off to the inside of turn number 7. He does, and he gets himself P9. Great start there from the British driver of the Red Bull, who also almost collides with the back of Cuba there. Manages to keep himself away with it. And Cuba also with a great start moves up to a P8. Amateur Gamer maintains himself in P3. Jax FO jumps Delta off the line. Very slow start from Delta, but those two soft tire runners are starting to pull away from Amateur Gamer. This is exactly what they need. They cannot waste time as there's a spinner at the back. That's Robin Yule in the Toro Rosso. I don't know if there is contact, but there was certainly something that made him spin. He's going to drop behind even Gary Gunn. Gary Gunn, unfortunately, not a great start of the race from him. I don't know what happened, but he's down to P13. Gary Gunn is going to reply with an overtaking maneuver, get himself up to P13. Delta still trying to get very close to Jax FO. A mistake there from the German driver, who, as he gets maybe a first warning of the race there for the Ferrari, as Amateur Gamer is going from now on to really start putting the pressure, because those soft tires are going at this point. I do believe they are already not capable of the same pace as Brazen is in the wall. Brazen is out of the race. Brazen might have lost it, and exactly, Brazen is plastered all over that inside wall. Probably a time trial setup that made him to... Oh, Amateur Gamer has disconnected. Amateur Gamer has disconnected the session, and he's going to be a ghost, I believe. Let's see, will Lasher overtake him? Looks like not, but I do believe Amateur Gamer, yes, Amateur Gamer is definitely ghosted at the moment. I don't know if Lasher has realized that one at this point. I'm not sure if ghosting is available for the drivers or not. Let's see how it goes for them. Yes, Lasher is finally going to make a move, moves up to P3. Gozieg also drops down to P12 on his arts. He doesn't seem to have damage, so probably a driving mistake from the Canadian, as he's going to get jumped down to last place. 13th is what Gozieg occupies at the moment. He's going very, very slowly. Not sure at all what's going on with him, as Delta and Jax FO really can breed in relief at the moment. All soft tire runners are at the front of the other tire runners, so Amateur Gamer loses a bit of the advantage he had by being in front of most of his rivals. Ooh, big mistake there. Thanks Slapper for Delta. He manages to keep it under control, and now Amateur Gamer, I want to look at this. This could be very important for the championship. Amateur Gamer is trying to rejoin to the game. Colored Lonely is getting the slipstream. He's already on the inside of the Williams, and I think there's contact between both of them. I don't think they were expecting the Williams to get unghosted, so to speak, and he might drop a place to Steph Farrell. Let's see who gets the better exit out of the two. It's going to be Steph Farrell right behind the racing point, not able to pull the trigger though. Amateur Gamer really came in the thick of it, really close to losing that 6th spot to the championship leader, which would be very important. Proxa, ooh, there's a bit of tangling there between Lasher and Delta. Proxa gets very close. Those two are still going toe to toe. I don't think there is damage in the front wing of any of them. They did go very slowly. That really helped the medium tire runners, and Jax FO himself was already 5 seconds ahead. I don't see any damage in the front wing of that Haas, and both Ferraris also seem to have clean front wings at the moment. Just trying to take a look at the front wing of the Ferrari, and no, it doesn't seem to have any bits fallen off of the front wing, but that was a bit of a scrap there for P2. Unfortunately, not really helpful for their strategy, as Colored Lonely, who's made his way past Amateur Gamer with the aid of the RS. That group of medium tire runners are all over their gearboxes, so it's going to be an interesting group now, as these guys are not only very fast, of course they are the main contenders for the championship, the Racing Point and the Williams driver, but those Ferraris and that Haas are going to really start struggling on their tires. So only Jax FO has something to contend with. Maybe if the Ferraris can put up a fight, maybe Jax FO can pull off even further. Of course, everyone has the RS in this group apart from Lasher, so it's going to be a more difficult job for the medium tire runners to get some places. Let's see how it goes, as Proxa is not getting the best of exits. Colored Lonely is going to start closing in. He is closer to Proxa than Proxa is to Delta. He's going to have an opening now. He's going to throw himself at the inside. There's contact, and look at that, Amateur Gamer, the slots on by. Ooh, Amateur, that was really close. A bit of a squeeze there, a bit naughty. Colored Lonely. Proxa unfortunately drops down 2 places. Amateur Gamer just sending it down the inside. He knew how important it was to keep himself up with the Ferrari, so he knew how important that was and manages to pull through. Very clean move as well. It was risky, of course, but it was indeed a very clean move. A bit of a touch there. Get a move on there from Amateur Gamer to Colored Lonely, as Colored Lonely had to slow down further than he would have liked to avoid the back of the Ferrari of Delta. With all this, Jax FO has pulled off and is now 4.5 seconds away from this group, as Lasher is now going to come under immense pressure. Steph Farrell is also catching up to Proxa, so yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how that goes. These cars on the softs are going to start getting up to their pit window. Let's follow on board with Colored Lonely just to see the difference in speed from these guys. The Racing Point does get a better last corner, and look at that, despite not having the RS, Lasher just pulls away, and Amateur Gamer is going to send it out inside of all of them, and that's a corner cut if I've ever seen one. I'm not sure that is within the rules. I'm not sure if the... Oh, and Delta is in the wall. What happened to him? Maybe it just went on the throttle a bit too quickly. It doesn't have damage, so maybe it just went on the throttle a bit too harshly, and there's a virtual safety car in place, so at least Delta doesn't lose that much pace, and this really helps Jax FO. Jax FO is now 6 seconds away from these guys. Jax FO could be taking a win here today. Of course, he needs to pit once again, or rather, he needs to pit twice, while his rivals only need to pit once. But we have Green Flag Racing again, and Colored Lonely and Amateur Gamer are really coming to blows. Amateur Gamer, I'm sure he's frustrated from his disconnection, but he completely missed the mark there. I'm not sure if he should give the places back or not. The stewards might have something to say about that one. So there he goes, Amateur Gamer giving the place back to Colored Lonely. Can't do the same to Delta, since Delta has lost it and has gone on the wall. So, sign of those soft tires to be degrading quite fast. How much effectiveness they have lost in only 5 laps of this Singapore Grand Prix. Proxa is doing his best to keep up with his rivals. Steph Farrell isn't too far behind, but of course Steph Farrell is also benefiting from the better performance of the mediums at this point. As Jax FO finally goes into the pits, Proxa also goes into the pits, Lasher as well, and there you have it. Colored Lonely in P1, Amateur Gamer in P2, and it's going to be between those two from now on. Amateur Gamer, what was that thing? Oh, that's just a T-wing, or I'm not sure what it's called. It's just a support thing, I think, for the rear wheel, for the rear wing rather. But yeah, looking at those soft runners who are now starting to get on the mediums, you can see Jax FO, how much time he lost. He gained a big amount of time, yes, but he also did lose a lot. So unfortunately for him, in P7, Robin Yule coming to blows with Gary Gunn. Gary Gunn does have the RS and makes the move stick. Up to P5 goes Gary Gunn after being in last place at the end of the first lap. is up to P5. So great recovery from the Renault driver. Now it's going to be once again between these two. How many fun battles we've seen between the Racing Point and the Williams driver since the debut of the Northern Irish driver at Canada. He actually debuted with a win, then second place at Canada. He got himself first place at Canada on his debut, second place at France, which he would also win if not for a disconnection with 3 laps to go. His internet gave up on him and that allowed Colored Lonely to take the win. Amateur Gamer got P2, he came back to the wins eventually at Austria. Then we had Colored Lonely finishing in P2 in that one. Then Amateur Gamer got his first race finish without a podium, which was at Silverstone, only 4th place for the Williams driver, a race that Colored Lonely won, so that didn't help the Irish driver's chances. And then he comes back to the podiums with a second place at Germany, beating Colored Lonely, who only finished P3. And moving to Hungary, it was a DNF for Colored Lonely and a win for Amateur Gamer. So the Williams driver did gain a big bunch of points that day. And at Belgium it was second place for the Williams, first place for the Racing Point, and at Italy 3rd place for the Racing Point, first place for Amateur Gamers. So these guys are really the top of this championship. They are really just overall the 2 best drivers, and certainly going to be fun to see how competitive they get with each other until the end of the championship. Colored Lonely does have a 76-point gap at this point. Ooh, there's a mistake and is in the wall! Amateur Gamer is in the wall. Steph Farrell says thank you very much, moves up to P3. Cuba is going to catch up to Amateur Gamer, who now has a very compromised race to do. I'm not sure if he's going to pit on now and convert this into a 2-stop, or if he's going to try to carry on. It's severe damage on that right side of his front wing. Complete bottle job there from Amateur Gamer. He does need the points to catch up, but that mistake will really do him no favors. Cuba has caught up, and Cuba is actually with a chance of getting himself a podium here today. Unfortunately, he just got a 3-second penalty. But yeah, looks like Amateur Gamer, he can't carry on. I'm pretty sure if it was a little bit less damage, he would still carry on. Try to only replace the front wing once he got into the pits, even though he could lose a little bit to Colored Lonely per lap. At least he wouldn't have to do a 2-stop, right? So it is tough. But Jax FO gets the fastest lap of the race. Amateur Gamer is going to switch to the hards, replace his front wing. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take those tires to the end. Hopefully he can. He's definitely going to try. So it is really tough. Let's see how it goes for the Williams driver. Comes out of the pits behind Delta. Comes out of the pits in P10. So still in the points. Fortunately for him. Unfortunately. Oh, Lasher. What happened to him? Lasher is getting back to the pits. Another front wing replacement for the Haas driver. What a nightmare this race has been for him since his pit stop. He was doing well to maintain that P2 from the Ferraris, but since then just a nightmarish race from the Haas driver, as the number 13 is going to rejoin the track in exactly 13th place, 15 seconds away from his teammate Sepik Skrull. Moving back to the front, Colored Lonely surely can breathe a bit easier, as he has 3.5 point gap, as we have yellow flags in sector 2. Not sure what those are for. Maybe was the egg making a mistake? Looks like so. There's a spin from him. He's stuck on the wall. I'm not sure what he's doing. He was in reverse when he was stuck on the wall. I'm trying to figure out where he is. I'm not sure where he is on the track even. I really cannot tell from this point. He's ghosted. His rivals are getting through him. But oh, he lost it at the Singapore sling. That's an uncommon place to lose it. I've seen people lose it in turn 13, but not in turn 10. So I have absolutely no idea what happened, as Cuba is going to the pits for a swap onto the Arts tires, also a replacement of front wing. So these guys, these drivers who are going for the 1-stop, they've lost time by replacing their front wings. Jax FO just says thank you very much. He has to pit again but it's really helping him. The fact that some of the guys on the one-stop are losing time with damage. Amateur Gamer gets out ahead of Cuba, who's still in the pit lane. He might even get jumped by Radek, not sure though. But JaxFO is back to the top 5 and is getting very close to Gary Gunn. Of course, Gary Gunn hasn't pitted yet. He needs to push, he needs to make sure that these freshness of the tires don't go to waste. He needs to get past Gary Gunn as soon as he possibly can. He does have a lot of ERS available to him, just about the same amount as Gary Gunn. He's going to mode number 4, OVR mode 5 even. Gary Gunn is just chilling in mode 1. JaxFO, he did get the acceleration, but not enough to challenge the Renault at that point. Steph Farrell is no match to the pace of Colored Lonely, but Steph Farrell might be on the cards to a first podium finish, a first top 5 finish at the very least, which should certainly be helpful as Gozziak goes into the pits after that crash of his. Unfortunately, he's coming out of the pits now in P13. And he's going to try to carry on. Hopefully a safety car can save his race. JaxFO now going to get DRS and the slipstream into turn number 1. Is it going to be enough? I don't think. Gary Gunn can even maintain mode 1 of ERS and just keep himself behind as Progza jumps past Robin Yules. Robin Yules goes into the pits to replace his tires for a set of hards. Let's go on board with JaxFO and see the closing speed between the Mercedes or the McLaren and the Renault. Mode 4 of ERS for him, mode 3 only for Gary Gunn, and look at the closing speed, no match from, oh, there's contact as well from Gary Gunn. Ooh, a bit, not Gary Gunn, but JaxFO, a bit naughty there. JaxFO not giving enough space, and Gary Gunn really needing to go wide after that contact. He already lost over a second. So JaxFO, with that, I don't know if that was intentional, but with that one, he really puts back the Renault. Fortunately, the Renault didn't sustain any damage as Robin Yules comes out of the pits on a brand new set of hards and is going to be pressurizing the Mercedes of Cuba. Looks like the Czech driver is too far behind though, as this is actually a Czech battle. All 3 cars, the both Mercedes and the Toro Rosso you see on the screen, are driven by drivers from the Czech Republic. So a bit of an interesting battle between all 3 of them, as we have yellow flags once again, and I have no idea who that might be. Maybe Lasher again. Oh, there's Epic Squirrel making a spin. Disastrous day. Yeah, he can't go back that way for too long. He'll get disqualified. Hopefully, ooh, that's an hefty impact with the back. Could have been terminal damage. Steph Farrell and Colored Lonely are finally going to the pits. Colored Lonely going to get rid of his mediums, getting now to a set of hards. Progza and Gary Gunn get past them. Epic Squirrel has retired from the race. I'm not sure if it was on the pit lane, so that's probably a penalty for the next race. But Steph Farrell is going to come out of the pits ahead of Colored Lonely. So I'm not sure what happened. Maybe Colored Lonely are doing damage. Not sure what happened there. But Steph Farrell comes... Oh, Delta is splitting them. Delta is in the middle of these two. Of course, Delta is going to have not fresher tires, but tires that are already warmed up. And those are also softer. So he's going to get the DRS and the slipstream on the Alfa Romeo. An Italian brand battle at this point is going to send it down the inside of number 95. Not enough, as Steph Farrell maintains P4 for the time being. Very nice defensive maneuver there from the Alfa Romeo driver. Very nicely done indeed. Going to take a look further up at JaxFO. 3 seconds away from 4 seconds away from Gary Gunn. That's how much time he's gained. Gary Gunn is on very old tires. He needs to pit soon. He's probably going to pit at the end of this lap. And he's going to get himself down to P6, P7, I guess. Let's see how that one goes. As despite all of that, all of his issues, Amateur Gamer is only 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds away from Colored Lonely. So if the Racing Points does lose time battling Delta and Steph Farrell, things might get tastier. Steph Farrell is now the driver with the most chances to win the Grand Prix, I would say. This would be very nicely done from the Alfa Romeo driver. It would be very nice to see Steph Farrell finally getting a top 5 finish at one of these Grand Prix. Steph Farrell, who got himself 8th place at Silverstone on his debut, 6th place at Hungary, 4th at Belgium, and 12th at Italy. So this is definitely a good bounce back race for the Alfa Romeo driver. Chances for the win, as he's already almost a second away from Delta. Is it enough for Delta to have DRS? Great shot there. As you can see, the flap wide open at the back of the Ferrari. Is not close enough though to make a move on Steph Farrell, especially as he's not close enough to get a big push from the slipstream effect. Call It Lonely is much closer, and that slipstream effect is indeed going to do some work for the Racing Point driver. Amateur Gamer with another mistake along the way, I guess. He's now lost. Yeah, he's gone into the wall again. That right side of his front wing is damaged, and he's dropping time once again. Very unfortunate performance from Amateur Gamers, really paving the road for Call It Lonely to extend the championship lead once again. Very unfortunate stuff from the Williams driver today. Following still with this trio, if I can call it that, Delta is still within a second of Steph Farrell, so it is still possible for Delta to maintain himself. Ooh, big tank slapper from him there. He's going to lose a bit of time. Not sure if it's going to be enough for the DRS. Is it going to be enough? Let's take a look at that. Already 1.1 seconds, and there's no DRS for the Ferrari. Call It Lonely going to get much closer than before from that. Gary Gunn is going to come out of the pits ahead of Amateur Gamer. No, it's going to be behind. So Gary Gunn finally getting rid of his old medium tires. He's 5 seconds away from Amateur Gamer. Oh, he got himself a bit wide there. And Cuba, so close between the rear tires of Cuba and the front wing of the Renault, as Delta gets jumped by Call It Lonely finally, and now the Racing Point has clean air in front of him to charge. Well, not clean air, but he has opportunity to charge and battle with Steph Farrell for what is very likely to be the win of this Grand Prix. Proxa and Jax FO are at least 11. Yeah, Jax FO is 20 seconds ahead of Call It Lonely. I'm not sure how much time you lose in the pits, but Jax FO, with his two-stop and everything that has happened in the race so far, I'm sorry, Jax FO might be on the cards for a win. I think Steph Farrell still has the best shot at it, unless Call It Lonely is able to overtake. But Jax FO, 20 seconds ahead of Steph Farrell, especially when he comes out of the pits. Is going to be on brand new tires, brand new mediums, while the rivals will be on older hards. Going to be quite interesting to see how this one develops, especially now looking at Delta, who's keeping up with Call It Lonely, as older tires, but those are still on their effective window. So Delta still has something to push from his tires. I apologize for these guys. I'm still recovering from the flu I had last week. That's why I wasn't able to broadcast the race last week at Monza, because I got sick. But still recovering from that. But yeah, Delta trying to put pressure on Call It Lonely. Call It Lonely always slowly but surely gaining time on Steph Farrell. The gap is already 1 second on the dot. Delta, though, despite being able to get slipstream and DRS, his tires aren't offering him enough to really closing the gap to Call It Lonely. Of course, those are still fast tires. Those are still usable tires, but it's just not the best for him at this point. Those are starting to not be good enough to keep up with Call It Lonely. As you can see there, already 1 second off, as Call It Lonely is going to very soon start getting DRS and slipstream from the Alfa Romeo. This might be another interesting battle for what is potentially the race win. So Steph Farrell is 11 seconds from Progza and about 21-22 seconds from JacksFO. I'm curious to see when JacksFO is going to pit. Because I believe JacksFO is going to pit at lap 17. Let's see how that one develops. Delta is already off of the DRS zone. Oh, Call It Lonely is also out of the DRS range. That is definitely interesting. He does need to push. He goes to mode 4 of DRS just to get himself the most power from the power unit. And he does manage to get himself in DRS range. Steph Farrell is coming up to one of the back markers. And that is Goziag, perhaps? Looks like it is Goziag, yes. Goziag is right ahead of the P3 and P4 drivers at this point. So Goziag has been lapped already by the leader. You can see Goziag very far away from Lasher. Goziag is the only driver to have been lapped. Lasher is getting closer to Radek. Not close enough to pull the trigger on him just yet, but just close enough to put in the pressure. Radek has 2 laps older tires as we have yellow flags. Is it Goziag? Not sure, no. Is it... I can't tell who that is. Oh, that's Cuba! Cuba with a mistake into turns 8 and 9 and gets jumped by Radek and Lasher. So they are both now up into the top 10. Robin Yules has jumped the Mercedes driver a while ago and is up. Ooh, Radek and Lasher still going at it. Lasher can't quite get himself past the Mercedes just yet at the very least. So he's going to have to wait for the DRS zones to get the move done. Jumping back to the battle to P3 or for P3. Call It Lonely needs Steph Farrell to not get DRS off of Goziag. I think he's going to be able to do so though, as Amateur Gamer goes into the pits again and he's going to retire from the session. And this is going to be... he could have still claimed some points. He's retiring, so... yeah, he's really going to give a big sum of points to Call It Lonely, especially if the Racing Point ends up winning the race. Cuba gets promoted to P10 with the DNS or DNF from the Williams. Steph Farrell did get DRS from Goziag, so Steph Farrell is able to survive the pressure from his rivals, as Cuba got himself past Radek and Lasher once again. I'm not sure what's going on there. Something very weird happened between all of them. Cuba got himself past both, but now Lasher is coming back at the Czech driver of the Mercedes. A bit of a squeeze there. Ooh, there's contact. But Lasher ultimately makes himself past both Mercedes up to P8. Robin Yules battling with Delta there. Delta, in the meantime, Delta is off of a front wing. Delta was probably the cause of those yellow flags. Delta, unfortunately, is out of a front wing, completely wiped out. He's really not able to manage the car when the tires start going off. He lost the rears into turn number 3, or exiting the turn number 3 when the softs were running out of life. And now, Delta, once again, making a mistake when the mediums are running out of life, and he's got his front wing completely wiped off of his Ferrari. Down the order he goes to P7, at least for now. He's certainly going to lose even more places once he pits, as Goziag just did right now. But yeah, rather unfortunate race for a Delta. Progza is not really in a position to take a win, I don't think. As Call It Lonely is once again very close to Steph Farrell, just not enough to pull the trigger. Steph Farrell actually has an advantage in terms of ERS. So actually, Steph Farrell doing very, very well to defend from our championship leader. Delta already in P10. He's going to come out of the pits in P10 since Goziag is so far behind. But yeah, probably Progza once he pits is going to join about the same zone as Gary Gunn. He's probably going to rejoin in 4th ahead of Gary Gunn. But JacksFO is 12 seconds away from the Ferrari. So JacksFO might even come out of the pits ahead of Steph Farrell and Call It Lonely. As Call It Lonely has lost, he has made a mistake, and he's lost about a second to Steph Farrell now. So he really needs to have a good third sector to capitalize on that. Let's see how that one goes. I'm really waiting to see when JacksFO pits. I believe it's going to be at the end of this lap. But let's see how that one goes. Especially as from lap 12 onwards, these tires start dropping off a little bit. And there's no point to that, because there's less than 12. Is there? No, there's 13 laps left. But if you could pit now, going on 13 laps on the other set of mediums instead of this one is actually better. Because by the time the other sets get to 13 laps of usage, the car will be much lighter on fuel, so it will be much better to drive, much better. It will have better handling. So let's see how that one goes. As Colin only once again, he keeps on getting the DRS and slipstream, but not enough to get past the Alfa Romeo. Lasher also managed to capitalize on the mistakes from Cuba and Radek, as Radek is actually going to the pits. He's going to replace his front wing. No replacement of front wing, but a new set of medium tires that is going to take to the end. Delta is going to come through and get himself P9. Radek is going to come out. Yeah, he's losing a lot of time. He's going to be about 7-8 seconds away from Delta, maybe even 10. Yeah, exactly as I was thinking. 7-8 seconds, maybe even 9 or 10. But yeah, Radek does need to push hard if he wants to catch up to his rivals at the moment. Jumping back to the front, just want to check where JacksFO is, and he is starting lap number 19, so he's not pitting just yet. Broggs is pitting in the pit limit. 5-second penalty, that's really going to damage his chances of getting a podium. Steph Farrell gets blasting by 2P2. Colored Lonely 1 second away, so Colored Lonely has had a mistake and has not been able. Maybe the tires, maybe he's using the tires more per lap. Prox is going to rejoin ahead of Gary Gunn perhaps? Doesn't look like so. It's going to be close, maybe 5 seconds away. Yeah, it does look like so. Yeah, 3 seconds, probably going to extend to 4 or 5 by the time the timing updates. Okay, 4 seconds away from Progza, away from Gary Gunn. Of course, Gary Gunn is on 6-lap old hards. Progza is on brand new mediums. So he's going to be able to push. He has the clean air in front of him. And Gary Gunn will surely have to start looking on his mirrors in the laps to come. 20 seconds separating P1 from P2. Colored Lonely is out of the picture at this point unless there is a mistake from Steph Farrell. And this could be the first win for the Alfa Romeo team. This would be very exciting stuff indeed if the 95 can get the win today. JacksFO is going to do his best, especially he's going to come out of the pits on brand new tires. Exactly 12 laps to go until the end of the Grand Prix. Doing exactly what he needs, not exceeding the speed limits, which is great for him. Steph Farrell and Cole only are, of course, only 8 tires or 8 laps old tires. Let's take a look at this. JacksFO, Steph Farrell is coming through the last corner. He's definitely going to overtake and get P1. JacksFO, 3 seconds away? He's going to lose a little bit. Yeah, I think it's the same as Progza, 4 seconds away. But look at that, Progza already... Oh, Gary Gunn, what happened to him? Oh, he goes into the pits. Gary Gunn goes into the pits. I'm not sure why. Did he have front wing damage? I'm trying to figure that one out. He doesn't have front wing damage. So that's puzzling to me. Is he actually going to get overtaken by Robin Yules? Maybe he's trying to get the fastest lap of the race? Not sure. But look at this. JacksFO is quite far away. Ooh, Colored Lonely is starting to up his pace now. Colored Lonely is able to get himself within a second finally. And if they start battling, if Colored Lonely can not, because in terms of ERS, the Racing Point does have an advantage at this point. It's we don't know about the fuel, obviously. I'm actually going on board. I'm going to try to figure out the fuel. So he has 11.5 of fuel, and Steph Farrell That's either an 11.0 or an 11.9. I think it's an 11.0. So Colored only has a slight advantage on fuel and on ERS. So it does have the tools to pressurize, but Jax FO is going to be flying. Look at this. Kozyak getting another penalty. But Jax FO, even Radek has lapped Kozyak. That's how disastrous the race of the Canadian has been. Colin Lonely once again not getting the RS. Steph Farrell having a very solid third sector. As they both know, Jax FO is coming. And is coming on in hot. He's coming in on. Amateur Gamer has left the session. Jax FO is going to be getting himself a very good chance at taking the win today. Of course, it would be his first win, which would be as nice to see as Steph Farrell's, of course. Colored Lonely getting some matching opponents this time around, so let's see. Maybe Colored Lonely getting a bit complacent. Maybe he's not preparing himself to the races as much, especially with Amateur Gamer not finishing the race. He's going to increase the points gap, even if he finishes in P3, he's going to increase it by a bit. Gary Gunn overtakes Cuba, as Cuba, was it a mistake? No, Cuba got overtaken with the DRS simply, and Renault is going to keep himself ahead. Look at that, already within a second is Jax FO. You can just see, I'm going to keep on board with him so that you guys can see back at home the difference in cornering speed between Jax FO and Colored Lonely. He's already glued to his rear diffuser. Look at that. Colored Lonely is struggling in the third sector. Maybe it's a setup thing, but he is struggling into from turn 14 to 21. He's struggling. Jax FO gets the fastest lap of the race with a 141.0. Jax FO is looking for the full 26 points. Colored Lonely might delay Jax FO though. Colored Lonely does not have DRS at his disposal. He's going to attack into this corner. I would advise against it. He's going to get himself the switchback, going to pick up the throttle much sooner. He could get himself already on the slipstream of Colored Lonely. He doesn't do that, which I don't think was the best, but let's see how it goes. Colored Lonely, no chance of answer from the Racing Point driver, who has to let the McLaren go. Gary Gunn gets a 140.0. Look at that, just a mere tenth of a second, getting him the fastest lap. Of course, that was probably the DRS he got on Cuba. Jax FO now got DRS on Colored Lonely, even though he had to compromise a little bit his run into turn number 5. Lasher beats that with a 140.8. I thought the previous lap was 140.0, but okay. Lasher gets the new fastest lap of the Grand Prix on on 4 lap old medium tires. So yeah, it is rather interesting to see that one, as we have yellow flags in sector 3. Not sure who that must be for. Ooh, Cuba! Ooh, that was great timing for me. I'm proud of that one, not gonna lie. Robin Yule, does he have wing damage? No, he does not. So I'm really not sure who caused that. Maybe Proxa, but I'm not sure. Someone caused yellow flags. Not sure at all who that is. Jax FO, he could be pushing this lap, trying to get the fastest lap. Goziag is out of the session, so we only have 10 survivors of this Grand Prix. Goziag just had a forgettable race for sure. Goziag was in a very good run of points finishes, especially that 5th place at the last race at Italy. Ooh, Steph Farrell. Ooh, that's okay. That's a bit questionable, I would say, but Jax FO having none of it, just gets himself through and gets the move done. Gary Gunn, 140.1, gets himself back to owning the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and look at that, Steph Farrell is already 1 second away from Jax FO. Really no chance from these guys. Jax FO, theoretically, this wouldn't be the best strategy, the two-stop, but with everything that happens, especially early on the race, with XFO being able to get a bit of an advantage, and then Colonel and Staffarel got involved in their own battles, right? That really allowed XFO to get himself the best performance. Didn't have any issues throughout the entire race. So, yeah, very controlled, very calm, very collected race from XFO. And he's certainly a deserving winner today. Just blasted the competition. Very, very well done from XFO. Staffarel, though, is going to try to keep his best, going to try to get the best career result of second place. And only now I'm noticing that's a really nice the helmet design. Really, he has the blue lines matching the blue streaks at the nose, and then that shade of red really matches perfectly the red of the Alfa Romeo. Let's see how it goes. Colonel is still not giving up. He gained the Alpha second through the last lap on his rival. So Colonel might still have something to give to the race. Might be able to try and claim P2. Progza is also one of those drivers that's flying lowly. Look at that. 5 laps old mediums and is really pushing. 8 seconds away from Colonel he is at the moment. He wasn't really ever putting up the fastest lap of the race. But he's definitely pushing for that one. Let's see how it goes. Garrigan is closing in on Robin Newell, so he's going to try to claim himself back up to P5. Really pushing at the moment as well. He's already within a second. He also has the extra point from the fastest lap. So Garrigan at least has a good sum of points assured for today's Grand Prix, which is very nice, not only for him but also the Renault team in the championship. So not too bad at all. Let's see how it goes in the remaining laps to come. Let's jumping back. Yeah, I think there's something just wrong with his performance in the third sector. Colin only was getting himself mode 4 of VRS to turn 20 and 21. That's not advisable. That's really not advisable. It's Garrigan. Oh, he actually pulls the trigger on Robin Newell way before I was expecting. But okay, beautiful maneuver there from Garrigan through turns 15, 16 and 17 to get himself up to P5. He's going to give the slipstream and DRS to Robin Newell. But then again, that's such a big difference in terms of tire usage that Garrigan doesn't really need to bother too much with that one. And yeah, he's already off. He's already a mile away from the Toro Rosso. He's done the best job he could, to be honest. Not too bad from him at all. He's going to match his best finishing results that he achieved at Belgium with the 6th place finish. He's currently matching it, so not too bad for the Czech driver. So very nicely done. But we do have XFO. Look at this, already 5 seconds away from Staffarel. Absolutely insane. Insanely good, the race of XFO. Crucially for him, he kept himself in clean air. Kept himself out of trouble. I didn't see him banging wheels with too many people. So, yeah, just very calm, very collected race. Also, the traffic management was superb. And that really allowed him to do some work. Lasher and Delta coming to blows. As Delta trying to salvage something from this Grand Prix after starting on pole. He is, I would say, the biggest loser. XFO gets the fastest lap with a 1:39.8. He wins the full 26 points today. That's the McLaren driver. The fastest lap from him. But the German, he was claiming he was sick once again before the race, so looks like, unfortunately, the sickness wasn't the only thing affecting him. Also a bit of bad luck, and also those lapses of concentration, those lapses of focus that led into him putting the car in the wall twice. Really didn't help for sure. And Lasher is faster than him at the moment. Lasher gets past him and is already over 1.5 seconds away. So Delta just going to try to nurse his car back home, try to claim the 2 points from 9th place. Lasher, though, on the other hand, is pushing to come back at Cuba. the As driver is, well, he has less than half the laps on his tires than Cuba has on his own, and Cuba has a bunch of penalties as well, at least 2 of them. So yeah, we might have a spicy battle as well between these two. Oh, Steph Farrell gets a penalty. 3 seconds from Steph Farrell. We have to take a look at the race directive, because I do not know if Colored Lonely has a penalty. He has 2 warnings. Steph Farrell has a penalty. So unless there is another mistake from Colored Lonely, Steph Farrell might have some issues claiming the P2 today. He's definitely going to get the podium at this point, unless Progza has been closing in, but I'm not sure if Progza is going to be getting 3 seconds in 4 laps. I'm not sure he's really on pace of 1 second per lap on these guys, so let's see how that one develops. Lasher, though, right on the back of Cuba already, as they're getting through the last sector, a bit wide there from the As driver. Maybe a bit too eager to get past the number 50 of the Mercedes. Really putting the pressure is the Romanian on the Czech Republic driver. Let's see how it goes. Lasher, of course, is going to have fresher tires, going to have much traction, or much more traction through this corner. Cuba loses the rear once again. This man, just a mad lad. Look at that. That's the second time I've seen him lose the rear like that. Those tires are screaming for the race to end for sure, as Lasher goes wide. And yeah, that's a 3-second penalty, slap on the wrist for him. Is there yellow flags in Sector 2? Is that Radek? I'm going to take a quick peek. Doesn't look like him. Definitely looks like Radek is pitting though. And Lasher, DRS and the slipstream, no match for Cuba, as getting to down to P8. Radek does get into the pits once again. He's going to lose to get another penalty. Radek might be trying to just have some fun, just push and get the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Get 2 points to his name instead of only 1, which, well, of course, it's going to be helpful. But let's see how it develops, as we are going to jump. Delta is also catching up to Cuba. We're jumping once again to Colored Lonely, 1.1 seconds from the racing point to the Alfa Romeo. Oh, this could get pretty interesting. He's, of course, not getting the RS just yet, which is unfortunate, but let's see how that one goes. Robin Yule is very close to Gary Gunn, and in fact, Gary Gunn has lost his wing again. Gary Gunn is going to the pits. What has he done? Is wiped out his front wing completely, and Lasher might, yeah, Lasher is definitely going to claim P6 off of that. Cuba as well, Delta probably as well. Front wing change. Yeah, all of them are going to lose that time. Gary Gunn is going to switch for a set of softs. No, set of mediums. That's definitely not a brand new set of tires. Definitely not a brand new set of tires. 12 lap old mediums. Maybe he should have gone to softs, I'm not sure. But he really took a knock. Very big mistake. Maybe pushed it too hard. He just had to keep it straight. He basically had to keep the car straight until the end of the race, but unfortunately couldn't do that, as Cuba loses another place, as Delta with the slipstream and DRS just makes it impossible for Cuba to answer, at least salvaging some respectable amounts of points, the Ferrari driver. Jumping from one Ferrari to the other, we have Progza. Who's that? Is that Amateur Gamer? No, I think that one, that's Radek. Radek is actually disconnected from the race, which I didn't know, but Progza has lapped him, of course, and is going to try to pull the trigger on Colored Lonely, who is now 8 tenths away from Steph Farrell. He's going to finally pull the trigger. He's going to get the RS once again. Doesn't look like he's going to be capable of really overtaking. He's probably saving fuel at this point. Steph Farrell does have more ERS on the battery. He has more charge on the battery. So, yeah, I'm guessing I'm guessing they are trying to just not get involved in battles, which actually helps Steph Farrell. Colonel is going to get the second place for sure. Progza though needs to push a little bit more. He needs to find himself an extra gear just for one more lap. Because he needs to get... He's currently 5 seconds away from Steph Farrell. He needs 2 seconds to claim himself third place at the end of this race. Unless Steph Farrell does have a mistake of his own. Which, of course, is also possible. 18 laps on those hards. Really struggling, I would say. Of course, Progza is also starting to struggle, I would say, on these tires. Garrigan is back into the pits again. Garrigan is back into the pits once again. And he's... Oh, he's... What? That's just lag for me. Yep. Yeah, that's surely just lag for me. He goes on a set of soft tires. And I'm sure he's just going to try... Well, he's not even going to go to the end of... to go to lap 31 because he's lapped already. So... Unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to have an opportunity to claim the win. Jax FO already 10 seconds away. Just mind-blowingly quick. Jax FO today. Very nice stuff. Progs at 3.5 seconds. He's gained half a second in the previous lap. You can see just in the distance, getting through turn 6, the Alfa Romeo and the Racing Point. He knows it's barely beyond his grasp that P3. Let's see, Progs just needs to keep on pushing. He really needs to find some pace. He's closing in. He does have the tire advantage slightly. You can see them. That's probably a big morale boost. When you start seeing the ones you have been trying to keep up with them, trying to catch them for so long, you can finally see them between corners. That's a big morale boost. You are finally within visual contact. You are so close to them. That really motivates you to push even further. Of course, sometimes that leads to mistakes, but Progza has been doing so well to get himself up to P4. If I recall, he didn't get the greatest of qualifying position. Oh, only 5th. Okay, I thought he had started lower, which is interesting, but yeah, I can see there that is Gary Gunn, who's also left the session. Well, Gary Gunn is on soft tires, so that's understandably fast for Gary Gunn. But yeah, let's see how that one goes. Progza lost out a little bit. He did get DRS from Gary Gunn. I don't know if he slowed down on purpose to get DRS from Gary Gunn. He's going to give it one last-ditch effort. Steph Farrell increased his pace a little bit on that last sector. Once again, very good third sectors from Steph Farrell throughout the entire race. And Progza has already lost out on DRS from the ghost of Gary Gunn. So it might be just too little too late. He didn't gain anything through this first sector, did the Ferrari. So unfortunately, it might be it for the Ferrari's chances to claim a podium finish today. Jax FO though got himself in a very high starting position, got himself in P2, jumped Delta off the line. Very good start from the British driver of the McLaren, and then he just had to... Fortunately for him, Lasher and both Ferraris really held up the guys on the mediums on those last few laps of the soft stint. Jax FO pitted, he was already 5 seconds away, so that really helped him. And then he came out of the pits and he was in clean air, so he could push while every one of his rivals were battling it out. But there you have it, the fireworks light up the sky as Jax FO crosses over the line to take home the win of the Singapore Grand Prix. Very good performance there from him. Steph Farrell claims P3 is going to get dropped to P3. Scarlett Longley claims 18 points. That's exactly the margin by which he increases the championship lead. Progza in P4. It's going to be so 76 plus 18. So 84, 94 points is now the gap between Colored Lonely and Amateur Gamer. Robin Yule is going to claim P5, Lasher P6, Delta P7, Cuba P8, and then Gary Gunn and Radek, who have been lapped, have already completed the race. Let's just see how that one goes. Just going to get a view real quick of our drivers. Let's see how that one goes. I'm going to try to get ourselves. So, who are the podium finishers? Jax FO, Colored Lonely, and okay, so there you have it. There you have it. The podium celebrations. The first time a Mercedes wins in this season. Jax FO, just a demolishingly fast performance from him. Takes the win of this Grand Prix. Steph Farrell, unfortunately, still best place finish. So yeah, must be happy about that one. I'm going to try to get the drivers for the interviews. So there we have it, Jax FO, Colored Lonely, and Steph Farrell get the podium. Then we have Progza in P4, Robin Newell in P5, Lasher in P6. So good performance from the Haas after his mistakes. Clawed his way back up to P6. Delta in P7, the very disappointing performance from Paul down to P7. Cuba in P8, Garrigan in P9, and Radek closes the top 10. Cuba qualified outside of top 10, actually climbed some positions. Of course, the mistakes from his rivals also helped. So I'm just going to try to get Colored Lonely and Steph Farrell in the voice chat. So yeah, I would like to get starting the interviews with the third place finisher, Steph Farrell, but I don't know if they are I can't push Steph Farrell. Steph, if she okay, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, just waiting for a Colored Lonely now.
My eyes sting.
Give me a moment. I'm not sure if Colored Lonely. I think Colored Lonely didn't have a microphone. I'm not sure if he still doesn't have a microphone.
Don't know. Gotta ask him.
Yeah. I guess he doesn't have it. So we are going to start. We have our two out of the three podium finishers. Oh yeah, Colored Lonely has no microphone, so he can't attend to the podium interviews. But yeah, Steph Farrell, starting with you, P3 at the end of the race. Just a bit of an unfortunate penalty there at the end, but that was surprisingly quick pace. What do you have to say about that one?
I have no idea where that pace came from. It all came in the second stint, because at first I was kind of not catching Colored Lonely. I was kind of matched with him, but not catching him. All of a sudden, I had enough pace to kind of keep him distanced. But the guy who won, Jax FO, was it? He did the two-stop and he was just way faster. So I went like, yeah, I'm just gonna let him pass. I'm not gonna fight him to keep P2. That penalty, by the way, was completely bullshit because I got it by going close to the wall after the second straight, which I didn't cut a corner at all. So I'm gonna fight that one. Yeah. Like I didn't cut a corner or gain any advantages, so I'm gonna fight that one. And I did manage to record the race, luckily, so I'm gonna fight it. But podium, unexpected on this league. Honestly, most guys here are pretty fast, and on Singapore, which is not really one of my tracks, I'm actually quite surprised.
Yeah, that was very good performance. Especially, I believe Colored Lonely had to go into the pits at the same time as you did, but I think he replaced his front wing, which I didn't know he had to do. So that allowed you to get in front of him
That's literally the only reason.
Yeah, and then from there on, you were just quicker in the third sector. From what I could gather, you were just getting better exits out of those chicanes in the last sector, and that allowed you to have a big enough gap to where he just couldn't overtake you with the DRS usage. So yeah, thank you for your words, and yeah, congrats on the third place.
Yeah, thanks. And yeah, I did notice it was in the third sector and in the exit of the corners after the old Singapore sling that I just had a lot of traction in there the whole race. Anyway, yeah, thanks and good. Congrats, Jacksafo.
Yeah.
Cheers, buddy.
Okay, so yeah, Jax, first win. How do you feel about that?
This isn't my first, is it?
Isn't
Surely
it?
not. No,
I don't think it is.
Oh no, I did. I won in Canada. No, not Canada. Germany.
Oh.
You didn't cast. It
Oh,
was the,
okay.
full
I
wet
didn't
race.
cast it.
Yeah.
I didn't have. I didn't have data about your last 5 races. So
Yeah,
well,
no, that's
well, it's the first win in my
first
view.
win on record. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. Were you expecting to stop to work that well?
I honestly, I didn't practice at all. I had like maybe half an hour beforehand, so I just went into it. The 2-stop seemed like to be the better strategy, so I went with it. I didn't really have any data, to be honest. I just kind of went with it.
Well, it was quite interesting, especially like when did you think that you had a chance to win?
Pretty much from the start, to be fair. Delta got a really bad start, and I can't remember if it was. I think it was in the third sector on the second lap, I believe. He he dropped back by like 3 seconds just in the third sector or something. I don't know if he hit the wall or
He
did
had
something.
a tank slapper.
Yeah. So yeah, as soon as I got away, like lap 2, lap 3, it's pretty confident from there on.
Yeah, and then of course, well, when you pitted, you started to have you already had a 5-second gap, and then it was just managing it. Once you finished your first pit stop, you got in clean air, didn't you?
Yeah. After my first pit stop, I had nothing but clean air. I had
Yeah,
no traffic at all.
That is quite
And
crucial.
Yeah, and then with the second stop, I come out behind
The top 2.
Safarel and and who was it? Coloured Lonely. But getting past them was pretty easy considering they were on very old, hard tyres, and my mediums were brand new.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was quite crucial that second stint with clean air, because Colored Lonely firstly was battling with Amateur Gamer, and then they also got mixed up with some of the guys that had started on the softs, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
I think that was crucial for me.
Yeah, it
Not
was,
having anyone to battle. I was just left on my own. Quite a boring race, to be fair, from my end, and very easy. Like just had to manage myself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's also a skill to not bottle it, as we've seen for
Yeah,
some.
that's what I was going to say. I got a 3-second penalty, my third track extension, I think, on like the penultimate lap,
Yeah,
which kind of annoyed me because that would have been like a clean race.
but still, not bottling
See that?
is a skill that some real life drivers don't seem to have these days. So
I was quite surprised myself, to be fair. That I
let's-
didn't bottle it.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for the words, guys, and yeah, congrats on
No problem.
on your first broadcasted win, and on
Yep.
Steph Farrell's best finishing result.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so yeah, this is it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, not only the tier 2 but the tier 1 races whenever they get posted, and of course hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever you are about to start a live stream or to post any videos. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.